Now, the question about the impact of that African peace mission to Ukraine and Russia continue to rage on, and whether or not this has eased matters between South Africa and the U.S. The UJ Center for Africa-China Studies Director, Dr. David Monyae, joins us for more on this story. Dr. Monyae, good evening to you. Thanks for your time. Firstly, just listening to Fikile Mbalula today speaking about this dialogue that the ANC intends embarking on, do you get a sense that there's been a change of tone from Luthuli House on this conflict?
Not really. I think the ANC has been consistent in terms of trying to find the best solution. However, I think there has been a tendency of delaying bringing some of these issues. It would have been better if he had said this before the mission. However, it's not too late. However, the issues that he raises, actually, there's a challenge, a big one, that the ANC seem to be looking at only two parties, which is Russia and Ukraine, without factoring NATO and European Western countries. That seems not to really want an end to the war. There is a move to really punish Russia for war to continue. I think this was brought to light. President Putin's document that he made available, that last year there was already an agreement between the two parties led by Turkey, and it came to no fruition.
Well, it talks about the various interests, right, that are playing themselves out, and as far as this war is concerned, this quest for peace, as you put it, that doesn't include the U.S. and NATO. Russia, of course, has been very clear that any mediation effort should begin with those two parties at the table. What are all of these meetings, dialogues ultimately going to end up doing if, as you're pointing out, the U.S. and NATO are simply not there?
I think there's a need to now coordinate all these efforts. Let's go back and see. President Xi Jinping of China had 12 points, and the document that was made available, the Turkish initiative. And we also had Macron and quite a number of others. With the forthcoming BRICS summit, perhaps that will be an important platform for President Ramaphosa to coordinate and work with other emerging countries to have a much more stronger initiative that combines all these initiatives that have been taken already, and ensure that the UN endorse these initiatives and reach out to the United States, reach out to Europe, and continue to really advance peace, because there is no any other way out. I do not think that Ukraine is in a position to defeat Russia, a country with nuclear power. And a continued war, it's not good for Europe and not good for Africa. Therefore, there is a need, and in my view, ANC, the African leaders are on the right side of history. It will come to the minds of all involved that the best way out is a mediated solution.
What about the view that South Africa is doing what it's doing simply because it's come under severe criticism over this position of being non-aligned? And that, of course, has alienated one of its biggest trading partners, the U.S., and threatened quite a lot in as far as various memorandums of understandings and agreements between the U.S. and South Africa.
I think the ANC as well as the ANC government must do more to really educate the nation what the non-aligned means. The non-aligned position is the DNA of South Africa's foreign policy. It has been there since 1994. There's absolutely nothing new. I think the pressure that is coming from the Western countries is to really use and hand-twisting South Africa to abandon its foreign policy and be on the side of Western countries. As it stands, non-aligned position simply means South Africa is not supporting NATO, nor is it supporting Ukraine, nor is it supporting Russia. It seeks a peaceful way of resolving the crisis, as was the case in the negotiation in this country. And therefore, there's no any other way of pouring in weapons and resolve the crisis through the barrel of the gun. Therefore, Russia is not on the right side, Ukraine is not on the right side, and efforts taken by Western countries are going to fail. So that's the position that is taken by a number of countries. China is taking the same position. India, with the Indian Prime Minister in United States as we speak, meeting President Biden, stands on the very same position. And it's just quite ironic that the United States is so hard on South Africa, while it says nothing on India and others who think that the best way out is a negotiated solution.
Absolutely not lost on me as well, Dr. Monyae, just to see how cordial the Indian Prime Minister and Joe Biden have been over the last day as that visit has been taking place. And, you know, the United States really affirming that this is a relationship it wants to pursue quite vigorously, and knowing very well India is also part of BRICS. And, of course, there is that cloud hanging over what happens in BRICS next year. I can't help but get the sense that is this part of lobbying around what should happen in August?
Oh, indeed. But, I mean, the other issue is India is doing much more damage to the U.S. foreign policy than South Africa. India is buying more oil from Russia and sell it to the Europeans. India is buying Russian weapons. And South Africa is not doing any of the two. And India is using its own local currency in trade with Russia. South Africa is not doing that.
Right.
But there is this hanging view in the Western world that South Africa is some sort of their colony. And therefore, any independent view by South Africa is taken quite harshly, and it's really unfair. And therefore, I agree with the minister that South Africa's foreign policy is not for sale.
Dr. Monyae, we'll have to leave it there, completely out of time. Thanks for your time tonight.